Summary of the only study guide you'll ever need original book by Jade Bowler. School is one of the biggest stressors that young people face. Receiving good grades impacts career success, and as a result, the education system expects school to be students' top priority despite their non-academic obligations. This pressure often makes young people chronically overwhelmed, leading to struggles in performing well academically. However, in the only study guide you'll ever need, Jade Bowler explains that school doesn't have to be this way. If students learn how to effectively manage their mindset, study habits, and time, they can minimize their stress and live a balanced life while excelling academically. This guide will discuss how to manage your mindset so that prominent issues like fear of failure, lack of motivation, and procrastination don't sabotage your success. We'll also explore science-backed time management and study techniques that will help you ace your exams. Throughout the guide, Bowler's advice will be supplemented with recommendations from productivity experts like Neil A. Fiore, The Now Habit, and David Allen, Getting Things Done. In the only study guide you'll ever need, Jade Bowler explains that many students struggle in school due to the overwhelming pressure to achieve good grades, while also managing extracurricular, familial, and social obligations. Overwhelmed students can develop issues that negatively impact their performance, such as fear of failure, lack of motivation, and procrastination. However, Bowler argues that school doesn't have to be this way. If students learn how to effectively manage their mindset, study habits, and time, they can minimize stress and maintain a balanced life while excelling academically. Bowler is a YouTuber and content creator, commonly known by her handle UnJaded Jade, whose content focuses on study techniques and academic success. She began her YouTube channel in 2017 and helped pioneer StudyTube, a YouTube genre that discusses how to improve study techniques and productivity for academic success. In 2019, Bowler co-founded the podcast The Wooden Spoon, which explores what success looks like, especially in the real world after graduating from school. The only study guide you'll ever need is her debut book, published in 2021 during her time studying at Minerva University. In this guide, we'll explore how to manage multiple obligations while excelling in school and maintaining a healthy mindset. First, we'll discuss how to adopt a growth mindset and make school interesting to avoid common pitfalls like fear of failure, poor motivation, and procrastination. Next, we'll explain the science behind how our brains learn and discuss the most effective study habits to boost learning. Finally, we'll cover how to effectively schedule your time to get everything done, be prepared for exams, and still have free time. Throughout the guide, Bowler's advice will be supplemented with recommendations from productivity experts such as Neil A. Fiore, The Now Habit, and David Allen, Getting Things Done. Part 1. Manage your mindset. Bowler explains that to perform well in school, your first step is to prioritize having a healthy mindset. The health of your mindset is determined by how positively you think, feel, and act. A healthy mindset is crucial to academic success because an unhealthy mindset results in thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that hinder success. In Bowler's experience, the most common symptom of a negative mindset is the fear of failure, which often leads to a lack of motivation and procrastination. She explains that the fear of failure makes students either overwork themselves in the pursuit of perfection or avoid academic work altogether due to the anxiety it causes. Fear of failure often leads to a lack of motivation. Students have no desire to study, either because they're uninterested or have given up on academic success. A lack of motivation usually stems from either a student's negative beliefs about their ability to succeed or from a genuine lack of interest in the academic material. This lack of motivation typically results in procrastination, when students ignore or delay their work. Bowler makes several recommendations to help students develop a healthy mindset, overcome fear of failure, boost motivation, and avoid procrastination. Recommendation number 1. Develop a growth mindset. Bowler explains that many students fall victim to fear of failure, poor motivation, and procrastination because they have a fixed mindset. They believe that their current abilities and limitations are unchangeable. Students with a fixed mindset who struggle in school are the most likely to lack motivation and procrastinate. This is because they hold the fixed mindset belief that nothing will improve their academic abilities, so there's no point in wasting time studying. Sidebar note: the concept of a fixed mindset was first developed by psychologist Carol S. Dweck and popularized in her book Mindset. While Bowler specifically applies the effects of fixed mindsets to school, Dweck argues that having a fixed mindset can negatively impact numerous other areas of life, including relationships, sports, and work. This is because individuals with fixed mindsets are more likely to develop issues such as a sense of entitlement, fear of failure, confrontation, and depression. Bowler argues that to overcome a fixed mindset, students should instead adopt a growth mindset, the belief that they can learn anything and overcome any obstacle through hard work. This shift helps students understand that their time and effort will pay off. For example, if someone with a growth mindset faces a difficult exam, they'll focus on their potential to ace it, even though it might require hard work. Instead of avoiding the work, they'll identify the areas they're struggling in and determine the best study techniques to improve their knowledge. We'll discuss more about effective study techniques in part 2 of this guide. This student is more likely to pass the exam due to their growth mindset. Recommendation number 2: identify your end goals and make school interesting. Bowler explains that many students lack motivation and end up procrastinating or avoiding work because they don't see the value in academic tasks. To address this, she recommends that students identify their end goals, what they want to do after they graduate, and make school interesting by connecting topics they're learning about to these goals. Sidebar note: psychologists explain that finding interest in schoolwork helps us perform better and curb bad habits, because interest is both an affective and cognitive state. It impacts your mood and mind, respectively. The affective state makes us more energized and excited about learning in the long term. The cognitive state makes us more focused and increases our ability to learn because we process information more efficiently and employ more effective learning strategies. To identify your end goal, Bowler recommends focusing on your values and passions, not just making money. For example, imagine that your primary values in life are traveling and experiencing new things, and you're passionate about writing. In this case, your end goal might be to live nomadically and work as a journalist or online writer so you can live anywhere. This might not pay as much as a career in, say, finance, but it will make you happy. Then you can relate school topics to this end goal. For example, if you want to attend a prestigious journalism university that requires a high overall GPA from its applicants, this might motivate you to work harder in subjects you're not particularly interested in to maintain good grades. Alternatively, if you're not interested in higher education, consider how the topics you're learning about can be beneficial while traveling. For instance, learning about ocean tides might come in handy one day when you sail the Indian Ocean. Part 2: study effectively and productively. Once you've adjusted your mindset and have a positive outlook on school and your ability to succeed, Bowler emphasizes that it's time to start studying. Effective studying means maximizing productivity, getting the most work done, or developing the deepest understanding of the material in as little time as possible. Sidebar note: in Deep Work, Cal Newport explains that the key to learning difficult things quickly and maximizing your output, in Bowler's context, studying productively, is to engage in deep work, focused, uninterrupted, undistracted work that pushes your cognitive abilities to their limit. To maximize productivity during study sessions, Bowler suggests that you must first understand how your brain learns and then adopt study techniques that work with it. Understand how your brain learns. Bowler introduces 4 concepts that explain how your brain learns best. She uses the acronym SAIDI to represent these ideas. Idea number 1: engage repeatedly. First, your brain retains information better when you engage with it repeatedly over time, a concept known as spaced repetition. Bowler explains that the more time that passes after you learn something, the more information you forget. The key to overcoming this is to review the information again right before you're about to forget it. By doing this consistently, you'll gradually retain the information for longer periods, eventually embedding it into your long-term memory. Sidebar note: Bowler argues that spaced repetition is one of the most effective ways to memorize and retain information long-term, and numerous studies support this claim. Research on spacing material and tests dates back to 1939, with later reviews in 1989 showing overwhelming evidence that spaced repetition boosts learning. Studies from various universities and institutions also demonstrate that spaced repetition is effective for learners of all ages. Idea number 2, build connections. Second, your brain remembers new information better by connecting it to concepts you already know, a process Bowler refers to as association. For example, if you need to remember that white blood cells fight diseases in the body, connecting this concept to a white knight who comes to someone's aid can make it easier to recall. Sidebar note: if you're learning about a completely new topic and can't find an existing reference to associate it with, Barbara Oakley, author of A Mind for Numbers, suggests other strategies to make information memorable. Moving your body while reviewing the information or incorporating humor can improve recall, because we tend to remember things that involve movement or make us laugh. Idea number 3, engage deeply. Third, your brain retains and understands information best when forced to engage deeply, a technique Bowler calls active recall. Simply viewing study material isn't enough to strengthen neural pathways in your brain. Instead, you need to actively think about and apply the information. For example, defining a term and using it in a sentence is more effective for retention than repeatedly reading its definition. Sidebar note: experts agree with Bowler's point, elaborating that one of the most effective ways to engage deeply with a concept is by teaching it to others. This psychological phenomenon, known as the protege effect, enhances metacognitive processes because teaching forces you to test your own knowledge and explain it, which improves understanding and highlights knowledge gaps. Idea number 4, make it hard. Finally, Bowler explains that challenging yourself with difficult tasks improves your ability and understanding. She refers to this as desired difficulty. Our brains prefer tasks that are easy or familiar because they create a sense of productivity. However, to improve your skills, you must push yourself with challenging material and tasks. Sidebar note: in Peak, Anders Ericsson supports this idea, noting that true improvement requires purposeful practice, which involves difficult tasks that push you beyond your comfort zone. Ericsson's framework also emphasizes having specific goals, giving the practice your undivided attention, and seeking feedback. Use brain-approved study methods. Bowler outlines 4 main study methods that align with these cognitive processes to maximize learning efficiently. Method number 1, flashcards. Flashcards are a popular study tool, but Bowler stresses that they are ineffective unless used correctly. For optimal effectiveness, flashcards must engage your brain deeply. Create cards with questions on one side and answers on the other, requiring you to recall the answer before flipping the card over. This deep engagement makes studying more challenging than simply reading the cards. Use symbols in place of words on flashcards when possible. Replacing words with symbols requires more effort to recall, reinforcing your understanding. For example, to remember the Rashidun, Umayyad, and Abbasid caliphates. In order of duration, you might write Rashidun, Umayyad, Abbasid. Make connections with familiar images and symbols. For example, connect Rashidun to a radish, Umayyad to your friend Maya, and Abbasid to the band ABBA. Study flashcards repeatedly over time. For a quiz in a month, begin studying flashcards as soon as possible rather than cramming. Flashcard techniques that boost learning experts support Bowler's recommendations, but offer additional techniques. Read the card information aloud to engage more senses. Shuffle your deck regularly to avoid memorizing the order of answers. Quiz yourself backward by starting with the answer side. Use digital tools like Canva to create complex visuals or add audio for more engagement. Method number 2, memory testing. Bowler explains that testing your memory and understanding is highly effective for studying because recalling information requires deep engagement. It also allows you to assess what you know, what you don't, and where you need to improve. She suggests 2 methods for testing your memory. Summarization from memory. Try to condense a concept into its essential components from memory alone. Then, compare what you've written to your full notes to evaluate your understanding and identify anything you forgot or misrepresented. This method helps facilitate engagement and active recall. Sidebar note. This technique is effective because it mimics the second stage of your brain's learning process. According to Make It Stick, during the first stage, new information is encoded in short-term memory. The second stage, called consolidation, involves revisiting and strengthening those memories, filling in logic gaps, and drawing connections. Bowler's method expedites this process by actively testing and refining your understanding. Blurting. Write down everything you can remember about a concept, starting with a few prompts to jog your memory. Once finished, compare your notes to your original study materials to find areas that need further attention. For example, if you have a Spanish vocabulary exam on kitchen-related words, you might use prompts like los cubiertos, eating utensils, and comida, food, to list as many related words as possible. Compare your notes to ensure accuracy and note any missing terms. Sidebar note. Blurting has become a popular study method, with templates and worksheets designed specifically to help students test and reflect on their knowledge gaps. Method number 3, create connections. Bowler recommends creating connections between new concepts and your existing knowledge using storytelling. She offers 3 techniques for building connections: chunking, chaining, and telling a story. Group related information and connect each group in a logical narrative format. This helps link concepts together, making them easier to recall. Example: for a Spanish vocabulary exam, you can group words into categories like food, cooking utensils, and table utensils. Then, tell a story about preparing dinner, incorporating each group as part of the process. Sherlock's Mind Palace connect elements of a concept to elements of a routine you perform regularly, especially for memorizing processes or ordered elements. Example: relate each color of the rainbow to an action in your morning routine, e.g., waking up under a red duvet, putting on orange slippers. Linking concepts to physical objects. Tie elements of a concept to parts of a physical object you frequently see. This helps trigger recall when you view the object. Example: connect stages of the water cycle, evaporation, condensation, precipitation, to different parts of a water bottle. Sidebar note. In A Mind for Numbers, Barbara Oakley explains that connecting information to a narrative, routine, or object mimics the brain's system for storing and transferring information from working memory to long-term memory. This helps deepen connections, making it easier to recall chunks of information. Method number 4, practice taking the exam. Bowler recommends completing past papers, real exam questions from previous years, or creating your own practice exams based on homework, textbook review sections, or teacher guidelines. This experience simulates real exam conditions, improving preparedness and confidence. Sidebar note. Using past papers is a widely recommended study strategy, with numerous online resources providing detailed past papers, model answers, and revision notes tailored to specific exams. Part 3, make a schedule. Bowler emphasizes the importance of making a schedule to ensure effective time management, enabling you to complete schoolwork, while still making time for extracurricular and personal activities. Her scheduling method involves 4 steps. Step number 1, list your obligations. Write down all your obligations for the month, including deadlines and the tasks required to complete them. Update this list whenever new obligations arise. Example: obligation: science homework, due November so. Task: complete 3 equations. Obligation: swim meet, November 5. Task: leave the afternoon free, reschedule group study session. Obligation: history exam, November 30th. Tasks: memorize the Islamic Caliphate's timelines. Study major caliphs and their accomplishments. Step number 2, make plans. Analyze the best study methods for each task and create a plan to complete it. Example study plans for a history exam. Create flashcards, 1 hour. Study flashcards, 30-minute sessions. Develop a story to remember timelines and accomplishments, 1 hour. Conduct memory tests, 40 minutes each. Take a practice exam, done on 1 hour. Step number 3, prioritize tasks and plans. Prioritize tasks based on your understanding of the topic and the urgency of deadlines. Use symbols to indicate priority levels, e.g., 3 exclamation marks for high priority tasks. Example prioritization: focus on tasks that require the most time to understand or that have the nearest deadlines. Sidebar note: Bowler's prioritization method aligns with the urgent important principle, which categorizes tasks based on their urgency and importance. This principle, popularized by President Eisenhower, is widely recommended by productivity experts such as Stephen Covey and Brian Tracy.